Chapter 1. The Marriage of Love. Daniel was 47. He was not rich. He was not famous. He lived a simple life. He wanted love. He wanted someone who would stand with him. He wanted someone who would see his heart, not his money. Elena was 45. She was beautiful. She was smart. She had talent. She could sing. She could write. She could lead people. Many men wanted to marry her. Some were younger. Some were richer. Some had big houses. Some had cars and power. But Elena said no to all of them. Her parents did not understand. Her friends did not understand. People asked her again and again, "Why not choose a rich man? Why not choose a young man? Why choose Daniel? He is older. He has nothing big." Elena smiled and said, "I do not want money. I do not want power. I want love. I want truth. Daniel has truth in his eyes. He is the man I want." Daniel did not believe it. He looked at her and asked, "Why me, Elena? You can have a rich life. You can live with comfort. I cannot give you that. I have only work. I have only a small home. Why leave all those men for me?" Elena touched his hand and said, "Because I love you. I cannot marry for money. I cannot marry for name. Love is not a business. My heart calls your name. I will not betray my heart. I will stand with you." Daniel went home that night and could not sleep. He thought, "This woman is ready to leave everything for me. I must respect her. I must not break her trust. I must keep my promise." They married. The wedding was small. There were no big decorations. There was no rich food. But there was love. Elena looked into his eyes and said, "I choose you." Daniel whispered, "I will be with you till the end." Life began. Soon they had a child. Daniel held the baby and cried. He said, "This is our love. This baby is our gift. I will work for this child. I will protect this child." Elena smiled. She said, "See, Daniel, our love has a face now." 2 more children came later. Their home was full of small voices. Their home was full of laughter. The children cried at night. Elena stayed awake. Daniel tried to help when he was home, but most of the time Daniel worked abroad. He packed his bag, kissed Elena, and said, "Take care of them. I will be back soon." Elena smiled, but her heart broke each time. She stayed with the children. She cooked. She cleaned. She taught them. She waited for Daniel's call. Sometimes he called. Sometimes he did not. She forgave him. She told herself, "He is working for us. He is tired. He still loves us." The children missed their father. On birthdays they asked, "Where is Daddy?" Elena smiled and said, "He is working for us. He loves you." Later she cried alone in her room. She missed him too. Friends told her, "You are lucky. Daniel is a good man. He sends money. He cares for you." Elena smiled outside. Inside she felt empty. She wanted him home. She wanted him to see the children grow. Still she stood strong. She said in her heart, "I left the world for him. I will not regret my choice. I will stand by him." Daniel also thought of her when he was far away. He looked at her picture. He whispered, "She gave me her youth. She gave me her trust. I must not hurt her." But slowly the distance grew. He became busy. She became lonely. Love was still there, but cracks were starting. There were times when Elena sat by the window and thought, did I make the right choice? I gave up so much. I trusted him with all my life. I hope he never forgets what I gave up. She never spoke these words. She kept them in her heart. She smiled for her children. She smiled for the world. Daniel, too, sometimes felt guilty. He thought, I am far from them. I miss birthdays. I miss school days. I miss small moments. I am working for them, but I am not with them. Will they understand? Will Elena forgive me for all this distance? But whenever they met again, the love was still alive. Elena welcomed him with tears in her eyes. Daniel hugged her and said, I missed you. She whispered, I missed you more. They sat together. They laughed with the children. They tried to make up for lost time. This was the life they built, a life full of love, a life full of sacrifice, a life full of hope. From outside, people saw a perfect couple. From inside, Elena carried her pain. She carried her sacrifice. Daniel carried his guilt. And slowly, the seeds of distance grew. The story of their marriage started with love. It started with choice. It started with truth. Elena left every other man for Daniel. She gave him her trust. Daniel promised to protect that trust. But trust is a heavy weight, and sometimes even the strongest man can fail. This was only the beginning of their story, a story that looked strong but was weak inside, a story that would later break open and show the truth. Chapter 2. The Happy Years and Silent Cracks. The first years after marriage looked bright. Elena was proud of her choice. She felt she had taken the right step. Daniel felt lucky. He often thought, I am older, but she still chose me. I must give her everything I can. Their children were born one after another. The house was full of noise and joy. Friends who came said, this is a happy family. Elena smiled. Daniel smiled. The world believed they were perfect. Daniel worked in another country. He packed his bag many times and said, I will return soon. Elena kissed him and stood strong. She stayed with the children. She raised them with love. She cooked for them. She helped them study. She was mother and father at the same time. When the children cried at night, she held them close and whispered, Daddy will come. Daddy loves you. She cried later when no one saw her. At first, she believed the distance would pass. She thought, this is our sacrifice. We will be happy later. We only need patience. But the months turned into years. Daniel was gone again and again. He came back for short visits. He brought money, clothes, and gifts. He tried to cover his absence with things. The children loved the toys, but they wanted their father. On birthdays, they looked at the door. Elena cut the cake with a smile, but her heart broke. Later, she sat alone and asked herself, why am I always telling them stories to hide his absence? Daniel, too, had pain. At night, far from home, he sat with his phone and looked at photos. He whispered, I miss you. Forgive me. I am doing this for us. But when he came home, he was tired. He wanted to rest. He gave gifts but not time. He thought he was doing his duty, but slowly he was losing the bond. Elena sometimes asked, "Daniel, do you still see me? Do you remember what I gave up for you?" He looked at her with surprise. She held his hand and said, "I said no to so many men. I chose you. I gave you my heart. I only want you to give me your time. Do you see me still?" Daniel hugged her and whispered, "I see you. I love you. I am lost in work. But you are still my only one." She cried, but she wanted to believe him. The children started to feel the gap. One son asked, "Why is Daddy not here for my play at school?" Elena smiled and said, "He is working." The boy asked again, "Does he not want to see me?" Elena hugged him tight. She whispered, "He loves you. He thinks of you all the time." But later she sat in her room and cried into her pillow. Daniel sometimes promised, "Next year I will stay. Next year I will not travel." Elena listened. She nodded. She wanted to trust. But each year brought the same excuses. Each year he left again. She told herself, "Do not fight. Do not push him away. You must stay strong for the children." One evening, Elena sat with her friend Anna. She said softly, "I feel like I am living alone. I love him, but I raise these children as if he is only a name in the house." Anna said, "You are strong." "But you deserve more than an empty bed," Elena cried and said, "I will never leave him. I promised." But sometimes I feel invisible. Daniel, too, sometimes felt guilty. He thought, "I am missing birthdays. I am missing school events. I am missing family dinners. What kind of father am I?" But still he chose work again. He thought, "I will fix everything later." He never saw how much time was already lost. Elena stayed silent outside. People said, "You are lucky. Daniel is a good husband. He sends money. He gives you comfort." Elena smiled in front of them, but in her heart she thought, "Money is not love. Comfort is not presence. I want him, not his gifts." She did not say this aloud. She carried the pain quietly. At night, when the children slept, she sat alone. She remembered her wedding promise. She remembered Daniel's eyes. She whispered to herself, "I chose him above all. I cannot regret it. But I need him to remember me too." Her tears fell, but no one wiped them. Daniel sometimes came home suddenly. The children ran to him. They shouted, "Daddy!" Elena smiled with tears. She hugged him and said, "You are finally here." Daniel felt guilty. He whispered, "I missed you." She answered, "I missed you more." For some days the house was full again. They laughed, they ate together, they held hands. But soon Daniel left again, and the silence returned. Slowly, small cracks grew inside their love. They were not open fights. They were not loud arguments. They were quiet. They were deep. Elena felt them. Daniel felt them. But neither spoke much. They hid the pain. They hid the distance. The world still thought they were perfect. But inside, love was turning into loneliness. This was their happy years on the surface. This was their silent cracks inside. The story looked golden outside, but it carried shadows inside. No one saw the shadows. No one spoke of them. But they were there. waiting to grow. Chapter 3: Retirement but not rest. Daniel was 61 now. His hair was gray, his back was tired. He worked many years abroad, he gave money, he sent gifts. Now his company said, "It is time to stop." "You are retired," Daniel thought. "Now I will be with my family. Now I will rest." Elena was 59. She was happy when she heard the news. She told her friend, "At last Daniel will be home. I will not be alone now. The children are grown. We can spend time together. We can laugh again like before." She dreamed of dinners together. She dreamed of quiet nights with him by her side. But soon she saw a new truth. Daniel was home, but not fully. He still made excuses. He said, "I need to travel again. Some business left. Some work with friends. I will go for some days." Elena looked at him with surprise. She asked softly, "But why? You are retired. Why do you need to go again and again?" Daniel smiled but did not answer straight. He only said, "It is important." Elena tried to trust, but her heart grew heavy. She thought, "Why does he not stay? Why does he still leave me?" The children noticed too. One son said, "Dad, why do you go? You said you will stay with us now." Daniel avoided the question. He said, "I just need to finish something." The son looked at Elena. His eyes asked questions, but Elena had no answers. At night, Elena sat beside Daniel. She said, "I waited many years for this. I stayed strong. I was alone in this house. I raised our children. I missed you every night. Now you are free, but you still go. Tell me, what is it that takes you away from me?" Daniel looked down. He said, "Do not doubt me. I do what I must." Elena's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, "I am not doubting you. I am begging you. Stay with me. Do not make me feel I am still alone." But Daniel left again. Days turned into weeks. Elena stayed behind. She told herself, maybe it is nothing. Maybe he just cannot stop moving. Maybe he is used to travel. But in her heart, a seed of fear grew. She began to notice small things. He kept his phone close. He hid it under his pillow at night. He never left it on the table. He turned it face down. She asked once, "Why do you hide your phone?" He smiled and said, "I do not hide it. I just keep it safe," but she knew it was not true. One evening, Elena tried again. She said, "Daniel, I gave up my dreams for you. I gave up men who could have given me an easy life. I chose you. I stood by you. I want only you. Do not push me away." Now Daniel kissed her forehead. He said, "You are my wife. You are my love." But his words felt empty. Elena cried alone that night. She said to herself, "Why do I feel like a stranger in my own home? Why does my husband treat me like someone who cannot know his truth?" She wanted answers, but Daniel gave none. The children began to feel coldness in the house. They saw their mother's eyes. They saw their father's silence. One daughter said softly, "Mom, are you okay?" Elena forced a smile. "Yes, dear. I am fine." But later, she broke down. Daniel continued his trips. He came home with excuses. He said, "It is business. He said, "It is friends." But Elena thought, what business after retirement? What friends need him more than his family? One night she whispered to him, "Do you still love me?" Daniel froze. He said, "Yes." Of course, Elena held his hand and said, "Then prove it. Stay. Do not leave me again." Daniel pulled his hand away gently and said, "Do not ask too much." Her heart shattered. She thought, I gave him everything. He cannot even give me time. Slowly, she began to watch more carefully. She saw him smile at messages. She saw him lock his phone fast when she came near. She saw him leave rooms to talk. She did not say much, but inside, her pain grew. She remembered her wedding day. She remembered her promise. She remembered how she told everyone she would not regret her choice. And now she felt her soul asking, was I wrong? This was not the rest she waited for. This was not the life she dreamed of after retirement. She had waited for peace. She had waited for closeness. Instead, she found distance. She found secrets. She found silence. The cracks were no longer silent. They were louder now. They were sharp. Elena felt them cut her heart every day. She wanted to close her eyes and believe, but the truth was standing at her door. This was the beginning of the change. The happy years were gone. The cracks were now open. Elena stood in the middle of love and fear. She still hoped he would come back to her fully, but a part of her heart knew that something dark was hidden, and one day it would show itself. Like, subscribe and share. Read this story and many more on our website, bookishenglish.com. Link in the description. Chapter 4. The Hidden Phone. Elena had waited for many years for peace. She thought retirement would bring her husband home. She thought Daniel would sit with her, talk with her, laugh with her. But she was wrong. He was still leaving again and again. He was still making excuses. And when he was at home, his eyes were often on his phone. At first, she did not want to believe it. She told herself, maybe it is only habit. Maybe he is bored. Maybe he just talks with old friends. But deep in her heart, she felt fear. She felt he was hiding something. Daniel was careful. He kept his phone under the pillow at night. He turned it face down when he placed it on the table. He locked it with a code. When it rang, he left the room to talk. Elena watched in silence. She thought, why would a husband hide his phone from his wife? Why would he smile at messages and not show me? One evening, she tried to ask, Daniel, why do you keep your phone with you all the time? He looked at her and smiled. I just keep it safe. These days, many things happen. I do not want anyone to touch it. She looked into his eyes and said, do you not trust me to see your phone? Daniel answered quickly, it is not about trust. It is just my habit. Her heart sank. She whispered, I trusted you with my life. Do not make me feel like a stranger in my own house. But Daniel stayed silent. The children noticed too. One day her daughter said, Mom, Daddy never lets anyone see his phone. Why is that? Elena forced a smile and said, do not think about it. Maybe it is his way. But when the child left, Elena sat down and cried. The truth came slowly. One afternoon, Daniel went to shower. He left his phone on the bed. Elena looked at it. For a moment she told herself, "Do not touch it. Do not be weak." But her hands shook. She picked it up. The screen lit up. A photo appeared. It was not her children. It was not her family. It was the face of a little girl she had never seen. She froze. The girl was small, about 8 years old. Elena's heart raced. Who is this child? Why is she on his phone? Why would he keep her photo instead of our children's? Her tears fell at once. She whispered to herself, "Whose daughter is this? Why does my husband hide this picture?" She felt a storm rise inside her. That evening, when Daniel came out, she did not speak. She looked at him with heavy eyes. He asked, "Are you okay?" She forced a smile and said, "Yes." But in her mind, questions screamed. Who is that girl? Why did he choose her photo? What is he hiding from me? Days passed. Elena became quiet. She watched him carefully. She noticed more. She noticed how he smiled when messages came. She noticed how he walked away when calls arrived. She noticed how his eyes avoided hers when she asked about his trips. One night, she whispered while lying beside him, "Daniel, you promised me once that I was your only one. You promised me that I was your truth. Tell me now, am I still your truth?" Daniel turned his face and said softly, "Yes, you are." But his voice had no strength. She closed her eyes and cried silently. Her pain grew. She remembered the past. She remembered how she left many men for him. She remembered her sacrifice. She told herself, "I gave up everything for you, and now you hide from me. Why are you doing this to me?" The cracks were no longer small. They were growing fast. Elena started to lose sleep. She sat by the window at night and thought, "Am I still his wife in his heart? Or has he given his heart somewhere else?" She wanted to ask him again. She wanted to scream, but she stayed silent. She was afraid of the answer. She thought, what if the truth breaks me? What if the truth ends everything? But the photo of that little girl never left her mind. It was like a shadow in her heart. Each time she looked at Daniel, she saw that picture. Each time he smiled at his phone, she thought of that child. Each time he packed his bag, she asked herself, "Is he going to see her?" Her health began to suffer. She grew weak. She cried often. Her children saw it, but she said nothing. She did not want to hurt them. She carried the pain alone. She prayed, "God, if there is truth, show me. If there is a lie, give me strength to face it." And Daniel? He acted as if nothing was wrong. He laughed sometimes. He gave excuses for his trips. He said, "It is small work." He said, "It is nothing." But his eyes betrayed him. His silence betrayed him. His phone betrayed him. This was the moment when Elena's world began to change. The phone was no longer just a phone. It was a wall between husband and wife. It was the key to secrets. It was the start of the storm that was waiting to break her life. Chapter 5. The Second Family. Elena could not forget the photo she had seen. That little girl's face stayed in her mind every moment. Each time Daniel touched his phone, she remembered it. Each time he smiled at a message, she felt her heart break more. She told herself again and again, I must know the truth. I cannot live in shadows. One evening Daniel said, I need to travel again. It is for some work. Elena looked at him and asked, Work? You are retired. What work is left? Daniel avoided her eyes. Just some business. Do not worry, she whispered. I am already worried. But he packed his bag and left. This time Elena did not stay silent. She spoke to her cousin Mark. She said, I think Daniel is hiding something. I saw a picture of a child on his phone. He says he is working, but he is retired. I feel he is lying to me. Mark looked at her with concern. He said, Do you want me to find out? Elena nodded. Her hands shook. Yes, please. I must know. Mark followed Daniel quietly. Days later he returned to Elena. His face was heavy. He said slowly, Elena, I am sorry. What you feared is true. Daniel has another wife. Her name is Maria. He married her years ago, and that girl in the photo is his daughter. Elena felt the ground slip away. She cried out, No, this cannot be. Mark said, I wish it was not true. But it is. That night Elena sat in her room, broken. She whispered, I gave you everything. I trusted you with my soul, and you had another life, another wife, another child. When Daniel returned, she did not wait. She stood in front of him and said, Who is Maria? Daniel froze. His bag dropped to the floor. Elena, listen, she shouted. No! Do not give me excuses. I saw the photo. I know the truth. You have another wife. You have another child. Daniel's face was pale. He whispered, I did not want to hurt you. Tears fell from Elena's eyes. Hurt me? You destroyed me. I gave up every man for you. I chose you above all, and you gave me lies. Daniel fell to his knees. He begged, Please forgive me. I thought I could manage. I thought I could keep both families safe. Elena cried louder. 2 families? You promised me I was your only one. You promised me I was enough. You made me a fool. Days later, Elena decided to meet Maria. When they stood face to face, both women were silent at first. Then Maria said with shaking voice, So you are his first wife? Elena nodded with tears. And you are the second. Maria sat down. She covered her face. She said, He told me I was the only one. He told me he was free. Elena wept. He told me the same. He told me I was his truth. He told me he was mine alone. Maria cried harder. I gave him my best years. I raised his daughter, and all this time he was lying to me too. The 2 women sat together. They were strangers, but their pain was the same. Elena said softly, We are not enemies. We are both victims. Maria nodded. Yes, we gave love. He gave lies. When Daniel came to Maria's house that night, he saw both women together. He was shocked. He said, Elena, Maria, please, do not hate me. I only wanted to keep everyone happy. Elena looked at him with fire in her eyes. Happy? Do you think lies bring happiness? Do you think betrayal is love? Maria shouted. You used me. You used her. You used all of us. Daniel tried to explain, but no words were left. The truth was out. Both women knew. Both hearts were broken. The world he built with secrets was falling apart. Elena returned home. She lay on her bed, staring at the ceiling. She whispered, "He had 2 wives. He had 2 lives. And I was blind all these years." She held her chest. She said to herself, "I feel like my heart is dying. But I must live. I must face this Maria too, sat in her room with her child sleeping beside her." She thought, what kind of man lies to 2 women and calls it love? She wiped her tears and kissed her daughter's head. She said, "You are innocent. You will not pay for his sins." The cracks had now broken open. The truth was standing clear. Daniel was not a man of one love. He was a man of secrets. And now both women knew. Their lives would never be the same again. Like, subscribe, and share. Read this story and many more on our website, bookishenglish.com. Link in the description. Chapter 6. The Girlfriend's Truth. After the truth of the second family, Elena's life was shattered. She cried every night. Maria cried too. Both women were broken, but they thought the storm was over. They thought the biggest secret was out. They were wrong. Another wound was waiting. One evening, Elena's cousin Mark came again. He looked serious. He said, "Elena, I need to tell you something more. Daniel is not only with you, not only with Maria. There is someone else." Elena stared at him. "What do you mean?" Mark whispered. "He has a girlfriend. A younger woman. He promised her marriage too." Elena felt like the air left her body. She whispered, "No. It cannot be." 2 wives were enough pain. And now this? Mark nodded. "Yes. I saw them together. He buys her gifts. He tells her he will leave everything and marry her soon." Elena sat on the floor. Her hands shook. She said softly, "I gave him my soul. He took my life. And still, he wanted more." That night, Elena decided to see with her own eyes. With Mark's help, she went to a cafe where Daniel often met the woman. Elena sat far away. She waited. After some minutes, Daniel walked in. His face was smiling, and with him was a young woman, about 30. She looked happy. She laughed with him. Daniel held her hand. He said words Elena could not hear, but she could see love in his face. Tears rolled down Elena's cheeks. She whispered, "He once looked at me like that." Now those eyes belonged to someone else. The next day, Elena confronted him. She said, "Who is she? Tell me the truth." Daniel froze. He said, "She is just a friend." Elena shouted, "Do not lie. I saw you. You held her hand. You promised her marriage." Daniel's face broke. He whispered, "Yes. Her name is Claire. I met her years ago. She was kind to me. She made me feel young again. I told her I would marry her one day." Elena's body shook with pain. She cried, "Years ago. All this time you had her too, when I waited at home, When Maria raised your daughter, you gave your heart to her? Daniel begged, "Please, Elena, listen. I was lost. I did not want to hurt you. I just wanted love." Elena shouted through her tears, "Love? This is not love. This is greed. One wife, then another, then a girlfriend. You played with all of us. You promised each of us the same lie. And you call it love?" Daniel tried to explain, but no words helped. His lies had built walls around him. Every woman in his life was broken because of him. Maria heard the truth too. She came to Elena and said, "So it is not only you and me. There is another woman as well. He fooled her too." Elena nodded, her tears never ending. "Yes, he fooled us all." Later, Elena and Maria decided to meet Claire. They wanted to see the woman who had also been caught in his web. They went to her apartment. Claire opened the door. She looked confused at first. Elena said softly, "We are Daniel's wives." Claire's face turned white. She whispered, "Wives? He told me he was free. He told me he was lonely. He told me he only had me." Maria said, "He told us the same. He told me I was his only one. He told Elena the same too." Claire sat down. She cried. "I gave him my love. I gave him my years. He said he would marry me. He said we would start a new life. I believed him, and now I see I was only another lie." The three women sat together. They were strangers, but their pain was the same. Elena said, "He took from us more than love. He took our trust. He took our years," Maria whispered. "He destroyed us." Claire added, "And he will end alone." When Daniel learned they had all met, he panicked. He came running to Elena. He said, "Please do not leave me. Please do not destroy me. I will change. I will choose one. I will make it right." Elena looked at him with cold eyes. "Choose one? After so many lies? After so many wounds? Do you think any of us want you now?" Daniel turned to Maria. She said, "No more, Daniel. I cannot raise my daughter in lies." He turned to Claire. She said, "You told me sweet words. They are all poison now. I will never marry you." For the first time, Daniel stood truly alone. The three women had found each other. They had found the truth, and they had found strength. Elena cried, but her voice was strong. She said, "I was blind, but now I see. I was broken, but now I will heal. You may have fooled me for years, but you cannot fool me anymore." Maria held her daughter and said, "We will live free from lies." Claire said, "I will move on. I will not waste my life on him." Daniel fell to the floor. He begged, but no one listened. His kingdom of lies had ended. His heart wanted all, but in the end, he lost all. And the women, though broken, began to heal. They had each other's truth now. They were not enemies. They were survivors of the same storm. Like, subscribe, and share. Read this story and many more on our website, bookishenglish.com. Link in the description. Chapter 7. The fall of Daniel. Daniel's world was empty now. For years he lived in lies, moving between Elena, Maria, and Claire. He thought he could control everything. He thought he could keep every woman with promises. But now every promise was broken. Every woman had walked away. Elena's voice was calm but sharp. She said, "You are a stranger to me now. I gave you my heart, and you crushed it. Do not beg me again. I am done." Daniel fell to his knees. "Elena, please, I cannot live without you." She turned away. "You should have thought of that when you betrayed me." Maria also refused to look back. She held her daughter close. "I believed you. I built my life around your words, but all you gave me were lies. I will not let my child grow in your shadows." Daniel whispered, "Maria, I love you." She shook her head. "No, love is truth. You never gave truth." Even Claire, the young woman who once dreamed of a future with him, closed her heart. She said, "You gave me sweet words, but they were poison. I will not waste my years waiting for a liar." Daniel stood outside alone. His phone was silent. No calls, no messages. He remembered Elena's soft smile. He remembered Maria's trust. He remembered Claire's laughter. All of it was gone. He whispered to himself, "I wanted too much, and now I have nothing." At night he looked in the mirror. His face was old. His eyes were empty. He said quietly, "I had love in my hands. I threw it away for greed, and now I am the poorest man alive." The women, though broken, began to heal. Elena found strength in her children. Maria gave her daughter hope. Claire started walking on her own path. They were hurt, but they were free. And Daniel? He had fallen, not from money, not from power, but from love. The man who once wanted 3 hearts now had none. He was left with silence, regret, and the weight of his own lies. Chapter 8. The Women Rise Again. Elena woke up one morning with a lighter heart. For months she had cried. For months she had asked why. But now she looked at her children and said, "We will move forward. We will not live in the shadow of lies." Her children hugged her. They felt her strength. They saw their mother rise again. Maria also began to rebuild her life. She sat with her daughter and said, "Your father is not the man I thought he was. But that does not mean our life is broken. We will live in truth. We will live with dignity." Her daughter smiled and held her hand. Maria kissed her head and whispered, "You are my hope. You are my tomorrow." Claire, the youngest of the 3, also learned to heal. At first, she felt foolish. She cried and said, "I gave my love to the wrong man." But slowly she found courage. She told herself, "I am still young. I still have my life. I will not let one mistake destroy me." She began to work on her dreams. She promised, "I will never fall for empty words again." The 3 women were different. One was older, one was raising a child, and one was still young. But they shared the same pain, and from that pain, they found the same strength. They were not enemies. They were survivors of the same storm. Daniel watched from a distance. He tried to call. He tried to write. No one answered. He walked alone in his empty house. He whispered, "I wanted them all. And now I have no one." His heart was heavy with regret. But regret came too late. Elena, Maria, and Claire each learned the same truth. Love is not about how many promises a man can make. Love is about loyalty. Love is about honesty. Without truth, love dies. With truth, even broken hearts can heal. Elena began to smile again. Maria's daughter grew with joy. Claire found new hope. They had been lied to, but they refused to stay broken. They rose again, stronger than before. And Daniel? He stayed alone. His lies had built his fall. His greed had destroyed his life. He could only watch as the women he hurt learned to live without him. This was the end of Daniel's story. But it was the beginning of the women's freedom. They no longer lived in fear. They no longer waited for him. They no longer cried for him. They rose and they lived.